I noticed my voice changed when we did that. We had it was tinier.
We're up to specks of dust in Little Rose Garden. Hey, we are back with Busted Los Angeles, and I'm here with my guests Monique Lopez and Alex Pages, and we are in the Exposition Garden because it is so hot in the Valley and in East LA. I was like, man, we gotta go to the Rose Garden and have some of these people like spray their hoses and sprinklers on us or something, because like I can't take this heat. Besides, he's wearing a long sleeve black shirt, she's wearing a vest. You think that they didn't pay attention to the weather reports on the TV, you know, because it's 110 degrees as we sit here. But anyway, that must be so hard riding a bike when it's like this hot.
It's pretty tough. A couple weeks ago it was this hot as well, and I had a bunch of meetings, one in South LA, and then right after the South LA I had to go to Koreatown, and I was just drenched.
Yeah.
It was hot.
And the helmet too,
and
right?
the helmet, and then also, you know, in places where there's not a lot of tree cover, it's really tough, and to stay hydrated is so important.
Yep.
Even today I was feeling a little bit faint and I didn't even ride that far.
Yep.
But it's doable.
Yep.
And it's especially doable when you break it up by jumping on a bus.
God, I love buses in the summer. And I hate bus stops in the summer, but I love buses in the summer.
Yeah.
You're right. There's certain places too. Today, I was just talking with a friend. We were discussing bus shelters. You know, because you know the metro doesn't actually handle the shelters. It's the advertisers.
Yeah. Oh, really? Interesting. I didn't know
it's the
that.
advertisers.
Huh.
But as a result, advertisers only want to advertise and invest in communities where the demographic matches what they want to sell.
Interesting.
So therefore, if you don't live in a demographic neighborhood that the advertisers are seeking out,
Interesting.
you don't get shelter at your bus stop. And if it's 110 degrees out and bright and sunny, tough luck, because
Sounds like-
Madison Ave doesn't care about you.
Well, it sounds like a transportation justice issue for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, LACBC is super active on those fronts.
Yeah,
which is
definitely. So
amazing.
you actually taught me something today.
Hey.
And that's actually one thing when, like what I mentioned, part of my story is when we're walking with the community, one of the things that they say all the time is like, we need shade at this bus shelter,
Yeah.
you know, this bus stop, because sometimes in certain communities too, routes don't come as, you know, buses don't come as often, and so people are out there for a long time with kids in strollers and what have you. And so, but yeah, so you taught me something new today, and it sounds like something that we, you know, we all need to continue to work on.
Now,
You know, what was really weird one time is this one passenger. I thought he was trying to get on my bus, and he's running after me. He's hitting the side of the. I'm in the middle lane. He's hitting my door. And I'm like, what? Just go to the next stop. What? My bike. My bike's still on the rack.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, oops.
Yeah.
Now, have you ever had anybody pass out from the heat on your bus, like in the summer?
Yes, I've had that.
Like where they
happen
hit the
before.
air conditioning and it's like, oh my God, and they pass out. Or at a bus stop, like they've passed out.
Yeah, it's been the buses. Some of those buses would get really, really bad, and especially in the earlier years, like in the 80s and
The RTD days.
Oh my gosh, I had to, and I would call up. I go, I'm not moving this bus another inch. You know, it's too dangerous in here, and everyone's like, this.
Oh yeah, I bet.
So I said, yeah, write me up, fine. I'm not. This is insane. And little tiny windows back in those days.
Yeah.
And the AC went out, so yeah.
Okay, this is a really important question I've always wanted to ask a bus driver. I've never had a bus driver on the show. How awesome was the movie Speed?
I actually had a route that took me over that same part of the bridge where he jumped the bus from one end to the other.
That's
well, as a
awesome.
bus driver, you'll laugh when you watch it because you see the bus takes off flying.
Pop quiz.
And then I go, and if you landed on the other side, all the windows would shatter, and she didn't have a safety belt, so you would have bounced right out of the seat. You just have all these inconsistencies, you know. And but every time I would drive, I would get people, I would pick them up at Disneyland. They were from all over the world, and I would tell them, oh yeah, did you ever see the movie Speed? And go, yeah, we're coming up on that bridge. I go, no way. And they're over here taking pictures of it. You know, it's like nighttime.
Can you speed up just a little bit more?
And what was funny is when we got to that part, there was actually a little bump. and then it'd go about 100 feet and then another bump. And I go, okay, we're going to get up in the air. Here we go. Boom. We're in the air. We're in the air. Boom, boom. And they would just enjoy it. In fact, some of them are still friends with me on Facebook. It's so funny.
Every now and then, I actually write to cast members of Speed trying to get them to come on the show. I've written the bus driver.
Was Sandra Bullock on there?
Yes.
Keanu Reeves?
Yes.
Okay.
Are you seriously saying those with question
No. I'm
the greatest bus movie of all time?
It's been a long time since I've seen it.
Oh, come on. That's like the long time since you've seen Star Wars. It's the Star Wars of public transit, you know?
I got to meet Dennis Hopper before he passed. It was at a golf tournament. And the black driver that was driving, the one that got shot in the arm.
Yeah, I write him every now and then.
I'm driving, and he's crossing the street in front of me.
Wow, really?
And I'm like, beep. And he turns around and looks at me, and I go, hey, why do the bus drivers always end up dying? And he looked at me and he goes, man, I don't know. We had a Speed moment right there. We're just laughing so much. But I was
that
really
is
surprised.
The greatest story in the history of Busted,
That's
right there.
That's pretty good.
I've done this 4 years just to get a Speed story.
Yeah. That was very Inception-like, you know? Like, you're there.
No kidding.
Yeah. So many layers.
Or like Matrix.
Or something.
Or John Wick 2. I've actually, I got the Gold Book DVD of Speed with the Rennie Harlan narration and stuff, where he's like calling like Keanu Reeves a genius for his reaction when the bus blows up behind him outside the Firehouse Cafe on Main Street in Venice Beach. And he's going, that was genius. We could only blow up the bus one time, and it had to be perfect. But he's like a ballerina of reaction.
I mean, now you're like really inspiring me to like rewatch that this weekend.
You should.
I'm like making a note to my wife to say like, let's put that in the Netflix queue.
A Speed bicycle tour.
You know,
Speed Ciclavia.
The
fastest Ciclavia ever. Everyone has to go 55.
Right.
When they filmed that freeway scene, that was the 105 before it even opened. It was almost
ready to go. Really?
So they filmed it on the 105, and it hadn't been open to the public yet. Another thing is, if you're a bus operator, you know that you can't open that back door while the bus is rolling. The brake automatically comes on. So I don't know how they deactivated that.
You're ruining the movie for me, man.
The magic.
And then I'm like looking for that trap door. Where's that trap door I'm supposed to go underneath? You know.
You would have noticed the camera in the corner.
Yes, exactly.
You'd be like, you keep talking up to it.
And it said camera on it. So I was kind of.
It had a red blinking light.
But they should have used, the excuse, because the buses have cameras on them now. They record every little thing.
I think you have a next career, like to be a consultant for Hollywood.
Yeah.
Like any bus movie.
I would love to be a stunt driver.
Like exactly, more
I think
bus
that's a
movies.
great idea, and you should be a movie executive.
Yeah,
more bus movies,
there
more
we go.
authentic bus scenes, and I could be like the end user consultant because that's my title, expert end user.
So the taxi driver will do the bus driver. Know what I'm saying? Well, no, he did that. He was in a movie as Brooke. Was it?
He's an EMT driver.
He was driving a bus in that movie, Bronx Tale.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and when I watched that movie,
I guess he's done everything at some point. He's Robert De Niro.
He totally reminded me of my dad because that's when my dad used to drive, also back in the '70s. And I watched that movie, and I'm like, wow, that's weird. He almost looks like my dad in the whole movie. But yeah,
So you're a second generation bus driver?
Wow.
Yeah, my dad told me, hey, you know what, you get in there part-time, it'll help pay for college, and that's what I did in the RTD days.
Yeah.
That helped me pay my tuition and everything through Kelsey Fullerton. I got a bachelor's in illustration.
Cool.
And then I was hurt in an accident, so I left the company. And then years later, they said, hey, they're hiring again. I go, they'll never hire me. I got hurt. And I went and applied. I go, and by the way, I got hurt in an accident. I'm like,
yeah.
They hired me anyway. I'm like, oh. But yeah, whatever I do, I'm going to do it 100%. And so
that's awesome.
And there was another, I guess, 18 years of driving, and I really enjoyed it. I'd wait that extra second for that person running. And when I first started, I used to drive the double-deck buses.
Oh, wow.
And a man used to get on my bus every day, and he'd go, so you're a minute late. and he'd get on.
Wow.
And then the next day, you're a minute late. I'm a minute late. Right?
Yeah, yeah.
So one day I'm driving, I get to the bus stop and he's not there. And then just as I'm about to leave, I look and I see him running down the street. And I threw my blinker on, I drove off, and I go, "You're a minute late."
Yeah, we had a regular on our show. He started out in the audience, and I remembered him the first time I met him at one of the shows. It was at the Silver Lake Library, and he was so knowledgeable about buses and bus drivers, and they were stopping to pick him up, and he was mentioning how he brought one like a cupcake or something because it was his birthday or her birthday. And I'm like, how do you know all this stuff?
Yeah.
He goes, I'm friends with all of my bus operators. So sometimes I'll text them ahead of time and let them know I'm running behind. They'll wait for me or they'll pick me up midway. And I'm like, you have their phone numbers?
Yeah, that's awesome.
He is now officially an MTA driver.
That's so cool.
Isn't that neat?
I mean, so now I primarily take the red line in because I live in North Hollywood. And so one of the things I do miss is having that that rapport with my bus driver.
Oh, yeah.
And when we first moved out to LA, we were living in Santa Monica, so I take the 733 all the way down. And
that's a tough bus. It's a long one.
It's a long bus. You're on there for a long time, but I ended up building a really nice relationship with the driver. And so, there was a couple mornings where I was running late, and he had enough time in his cushion. Sometimes even if they see you, they need to go, right?
Yeah, they only get so much time.
Yeah, and so a couple times he waited for me. There was one time where there were all the because I usually travel with my bike.
Yep.
All the bike racks were filled, and he's like, I was like, oh shit, and the 733 doesn't come that often, and I'm like, I'm gonna be late.
Yeah.
And so I didn't even want to ask him can I put my bike on the bus? But he's like, no, just go back there, put it on there. So you build these really nice relationships. So that's one thing I do miss about riding. The red line, the blue line. It's I don't really get to interact with the person driving, which is one thing I miss.
Sometimes when I get off the train, I instinctually want to say thank you. And it's no one to say thank you to. It's passengers. Hey, thank you for sitting across from me.
Right.
but that's from the bus.
Yeah.
Because I always thank the bus operator at the end of every ride. And we're actually at the end of our show now. But I want to thank my guests tonight. It's been a really fun show, really informative show as well. Monique Lopez at LACBC. You want to throw a web address?
Yeah, you can find us at la-bike.org. So la-bike.org.
And also Alex Pages, who's now doing stand-up comedy as well, if you couldn't tell. You have any shows coming up or anything you'd like to plug? Or shout out to your bus driving homies?
I have one in a few weeks out in Norwalk. Out in Orange County, but I still have to get more. In fact, I had one last night too. So, but it's Alex Pages. Look me up on Facebook. And
if you go into bustedlosangeles.com, I'll also forward information on our Facebook page. If you want to see our Facebook page, by the way, or any of our information, we're on Twitter at BustedLA. Instagram at Busted Los Angeles. Our website is bustedlosangeles.com. If you want to participate in the show or have our show come to your part of the city, you can write us at bustedlosangeles@gmail.com. I'm a Celtics
Jack's
fan.
back in.
I got Jack Nicholson next to me. This is creeping me out.
Where's the Staples Center? That's all I want to
I
know.
want to say once again that that Busted Los Angeles is going to be a proud partner at LA Commotion in November at Downtown LA Arts District. I saw LACBC as a partner on the website as well.
Yep,
So I'll see
we'll be
you
there.
And keep following Busted Los Angeles. I'll tell you all the details, all the exciting things that's going to be happening. I just can't let the cat out yet. You're just going to have to come back in 2 weeks like a cliffhanger. So we'll be back 2 weeks from tonight, 9 p.m. at dronebox.com. For those of you who get around by bus, by train, bicycle, skateboard, walking, be aware of your surroundings, stay cool, stay hydrated, stay in the shade. For those of you who are motorists, please respect the crosswalks. Thank you and good night. I think it's no big